Welcome back. In this video, I want to talk about a vulnerability called CSRF, or also known as cross-site request forgery. Now, this is something that you might remember from the scanning section of the course, where we used Nmap to discover vulnerabilities, and on one of our targets we got response that possible CSRF vulnerability was there. Well, the time has come to finally see what is this vulnerability. Many people think that this is something similar or the same as XSS or cross-site scripting, but that is not the case. In cross-site request forgery, the attacker makes the identified user execute something that they didn't want to execute. CSRF attack can be used to exploit any web function that searches for one request inside of the identified session in case the security applied isn't efficient enough. Some of the things that you can do with cross-site request forgery would be something like changing details about a specific user, like email addresses, date when they were born, and so on and so on. You can also perform fake banking transactions, adding items to buy on a certain page, but this is not something that we can accomplish easily. For this attack, we need a victim that has active identified session inside of the website, and they will also have to visit our URL link that we craft in order for this to work. Now, let's take a look at simple example of how to do this on our DVWA page. So start your Metasploitable, visit the page as usual. We want to go to the DVWA and we can log in right here. But remember that we did the SQL injection. We no longer have to log in as admin user. We can log in as any other user from the data that we extracted with our SQL injection. So if you remember, we had a user called Gordon who had the username of Gordon B, and his password was ABC123. If you remember that we got his MD5 hash, then we pasted it inside of the Google, and we got that his hash was equivalent to a string of ABC123. So we can log in as Gordon. And we can see down here, you have logged in as Gordon B. Now let's set the security to low. And let's navigate to CSRF right here. So we can see vulnerability, cross-site request forgery, and the application requires us to change our admin password. So we got the new password and confirm new password. What we can do is we can, for example, type password 123 and confirm password to be password 123. If I click on change, it says password changed, and let's see whether it indeed got changed. So if I log in as admin and then password, remember that before it was just password, now it is password 123. If I log in, well, now it will work. We successfully changed the password. But how can we use this to exploit it? Well, if I go right click and go on view page source, there will be a vulnerable part of code inside of this page. And that part of code will be the form where we submit the new password. If we scroll all the way down, here is the part of the code that is vulnerable. We got the form where we can submit the new password, where we can also reconfirm the new password, and you will notice that this is under the vulnerable code area. So what we can do with CSRF is we can copy this vulnerable form where we submit the username and password, and we're going to create our small HTML page that we're going to host on our Apache 2 web server. And you're going to see in just a second why we do that. So I'll open a terminal and I will navigate to the directory of our web server, and if you remember, that is /var/www/html. Now, since we can't write files right here as a regular user, let us enter the root account. If I type ls, we got our tester.py, we can remove it, we no longer need it here, and once you got this directory clear and empty, let us nano csrf.html file. Let's call it like that. Now feel free to call it anything that you want, just make sure that you have this HTML extension onto this file. Now that we opened it, we can paste the code that we copied from the page, and you will notice it is the form where we change our password. Now, there are a few things that we want to change right here. For example, this action, we want to change to the page link where we change our password on our DVWA. And that page link is this link right here. Let's copy it. Let's paste it right here. And what this action simply refers to is once we change the password, it will redirect us to whatever page is inside of this action field. So it will just redirect us back to this page right here. Let's copy this and paste it. Now that we got the page right here, there are two more things that we need to add in order for this attack to work, and that is inside of these input fields. So we got the name of the field, which is password new. I believe it is this field right here. And the second field is confirm new password, which is this field right here, password confirm. We want to automatically add value to those fields. And in this case, that value will be a new password. So what we can do is we can type space right after the password name, and we can type value equals, open double quotes, and in between the double quotes, we can type the new password. Let's say the new password is hacked. We must do that for the second field as well. So value equals, open double quotes, and then hacked. Now, you will notice once we visit this page that in that case, the fields will already be completed. They will have this hacked value inside of both of these fields. Let's give it a try. If I save this, Control O, and I start my Apache 2 web server by typing service Apache 2 start. All we need to do right now is visit our localhost and the csrf.html file, which is the only file inside of our Apache 2 web server directory. So we got this right here. And this is the link that we would want to send to our victim. Now I know it doesn't nearly look as good as this page right here, but let's just give it a try to see if it works. If we did everything correctly, once we click on this change button on our localhost CSRF file, we will successfully change the password of the admin account on this DVWA page. So we send this to the target clicks on change, and we get redirected to our Metasploitable DVWA CSRF page, and it says password changed. Let's see whether it indeed got changed. Remember, we typed the value of hacked, and now if I go right here and type admin and hacked, well, it worked. We logged in with new password that someone typed in while visiting our page on our local host. But if you noticed on this page, we only copy the form, and if we were to host just the form code on our Apache 2 server, like we're doing right now, it would look suspicious because if we take a look at this page and this page, they don't look nearly the same. So how can we make it look the same? Well, first thing that we must do is we must go right here, right click, view page source, and we must copy the entire HTML code and not just the form. So what you can do is you can select the page, type Control A, it will select all the code inside of this file, and we can copy it. Then we can go to our Apache web directory and we can remove the CSRF file and we can nano new one. Here we will paste the entire code. And remember that we must do the same thing that we did inside of our form. So find the form code, and here we want to put the link to our page, which is this link once again. Copy it, paste it right here. We also want to add the value to our password fields. We can change right now the password back to password, just so we put it back as it was. And now that we did this, we can save this, and if I go and visit the page once again, or I just reload this page, well, it looks a little bit better, but it is still not the same page. We're missing some decoration that this page has. And if you have some experience in web development, you will know that we are missing the CSS file. So what we can do to add the CSS file is we can go to this page source of our page that we got open, and we can navigate to the CSS file. So just search for any file type that ends with .css. And if I go up here, here is one of them, and it is called main.css. And by looking at this page, it seems that this is the only CSS file that this page has. So let's click on that, and here is the CSS code that we also must save in the same directory as our HTML file. So let's select everything, copy this, and let's go back to our web directory. Right here we're going to nano main.css, and let's just paste all of this code. Now that we have the CSS code right here, we can save this, but it will still not work if we don't change the file location inside of our code. Because if you take a look at right here, where we add the CSS file, it is still the location on our Metasploitable machine. And since we have it in the same directory as our HTML file on our Apache 2 web server, what we can do is we can just remove the entire path and leave just the name of the file, because they're both located in the same directory. So we can just leave it like this. Then we can save this. And now if we refresh our localhost page, well, now it looks the same. Just this page isn't zoomed in, so what we can do is we can zoom this in and they look exactly the same. So the password is, remember right now, just password, and if we click on change, it will redirect us to the real page and it will say the password has changed. Let's give it a try once again and see whether it indeed got changed. So I will just go to my DVWA page, log out, and type admin and then password. And we did it again. Just this time we made our page look exactly the same, as we can see right here. Great. This is the CSRF attack, or cross-site request forgery attack. As you can see, it requires to open our link, otherwise this will not work. But if you manage to trick them by making the page look identical, then this attack will work and you will successfully change their password. Now this can be performed on other stuff and not just the password fields. As we remembered, you can use this to change emails, to change dates, and many other things as well. Now that we covered this, in the next video, we're going to cover brute force attack. And we're going to see how we can perform the brute force attack in 2 different ways. So thank you for watching, and I will see you in the next lecture. Bye.